The latest tech.
I'm Alexa. I can answer your questions.
Interviews.
And we are evolving, and we are seeing an amazing opportunity that's happening.
Accessibility.
Accessibility is one of our core values.
This is Double Tap TV.
Welcome to another edition of Double Tap TV. Thank you guys so much for being here and joining us for the ride. If you want to get in touch with us, our email address is feedback@doubletap.online. You can send us anything there, and Stephen Scott will personally get back to you. On Twitter, we are at Double Tap Canada, and use that hashtag, which is AskDoubleTap. And again, Stephen Scott is the man behind that every single day, and I love bugging him when he's not on screen, but let's bring him on. Stephen Scott, welcome to another edition of Double Tap TV. I'm so happy that you're always by my side.
Oh, thank you, Mark. You're so kind. What have you signed me up to now?
I've signed you up to absolutely everything. Just say yes to anything I say, okay?
Yes.
This week, we are welcoming our good friend of the show, Shaun Preece. Shaun Preece, welcome back to Double Tap TV.
Thank you, Mark. It's always good to be here.
It's always good to have you. And you know what? If you guys haven't tuned in yet to Double Tap Canada Live, I recommend that you do, because every single week on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on AMI Audio, you can experience the three of us getting up to really no good, guys. No good. But it is definitely a good time. Let's talk Android. And the reason I want to talk Android, guys, is because I have a frustration. I have a frustration that I need to vent, and I need you guys to act as my therapists. Because if you look here at my table in front of me, I've got one Huawei P40 Pro. I've got one Google Pixel 4a. I've got one Samsung Galaxy Note 5G Ultra. I've got the Samsung Galaxy Fold 2 Ultra. Flip. Z Flip. I've got a TCL 10. All beautiful Android devices. Yet, within this 6-month period that these are released, we sit and have to wait every single year after year for a new piece of iPhone hardware. And I'm getting frustrated with this. And I think other people share my feelings. Stephen?
I'm struggling here. So you've got about 300 phones in front of you and you're complaining you don't have another one? What's the problem here?
It's not that I don't have another one. Hang on. It's not that I don't have another one. It's that I'm an iOS guy. They send me these phones to review. I'm happy to review them. I'm happy to use them. I'm happy to throw my SIM card in them and talk about them. They're great devices. But every time I get my hands on a new Android device, I wonder, why is it that all these manufacturers can pump out phones like this and give us great hardware options, yet we sit and wait like the little bait that we are for a new piece of hardware from Apple that really sometimes doesn't even step up to the plate when it comes to some of this hardware that's out there.
Well, I remember the days of when you used to have Hackintoshes, when people used to take regular-looking PCs, the old beige boxes, and they would, stick Mac OS on them. And, they were terrible. They didn't work. They were pitiful. They were underpowered. They never worked the same. And, let's be honest about it. Think about Android in itself, the way it's been diluted over the years. Yeah, okay, it's a great operating system. If you've got a Google Pixel, it's going to be a great experience. Yeah, if you've got Samsung, you're probably going to get the same. But no, you're talking about TCL there. You're talking about other manufacturers. As it goes down the line, and especially as the price gets lower, it gets diluted. The quality is not the same. Screen quality is not as good. The operating system doesn't run as well because it doesn't have the same level of processor. So, I don't know. I think you might be wishing for something that you probably don't want, would be my opinion.
Oh, I think Stephen's crazy. It's all about that diversity of hardware, isn't it? You want the sexy coolness. We're waiting around for a new iPhone to come out, and what if it's a design you don't like? Where's the in-screen fingerprint sensor? Where's the new hardware? So, yeah, Android's got it there because you get everything just far sooner. Now, of course, there is a little bit of dilution there, I suppose. Maybe the processor might not be as powerful or whatever. But, you've got that choice, and that's where Android's just got it.
So I call this Android Envy, guys, okay? It's the title of the episode, and I call it Android Envy because there's a lot of things that come to the table and that have come to the table on the Android side of things. Yeah, exactly. And they've just come out, not only hardware side, but software side, they've come out before iOS has. Now you got to, okay, so, looking at the devices in front of me, let's take two out of the equation, okay? Take the Pixel 4a, let's take this and let's put it to the side because it's not a flagship device, okay? we'll put the 4A to the side. And we'll take the TCL 10, and I don't think it's a flagship device, probably just because of the materials that go into it. I mean, it's more plastic on the back. Yes, you've got 4 cameras and dual flashes, but what you're left with here are some incredible devices that when I use, I wish they had iMessage. I wish they had FaceTime. The 2 features that I honestly think are the only anchor that keeps me on the Apple operating system. And I think you guys, I mean, on the accessibility side, how far have we come along on the Android side of things that iOS is now kind of like, do I need to continue with Apple or not?
Well, look, I mean, I agree with you on the iMessage and the FaceTime front. I think it goes a little bit further than that for me, though, because with the Apple ecosystem, that extends across a whole wide range of devices, from the Apple Watch to the MacBook to your iPad. Not the Apple TV yet. Apple TV still left out in the cold on that one. Maybe we'll get FaceTime on there soon. That would be a nice idea. Think about Facebook Portal. Wouldn't it be great if we had some kind of Apple TV FaceTime? Anyway, that's for another day. But, the point is that there are so many ways that it all merges together and works together that perhaps third party just wouldn't give you the quality that Apple would want you to experience. Hence why there's been so many arguments over the years about Apple iPhones, not getting updates, the earlier versions from the iPhone 6 now not getting the latest iOS updates, iPhone 6S kind of losing out as well a little bit. And I know Apple get criticised for that, but at the same token, there's a reason, because the hardware in there just isn't good enough.
Shaun, what's your experience when it comes to the Pixel side of things? I mean, Pixel is stock Android, so it means no skins, no issues there.
No, it's...
Have you not had a good experience with them?
No, Pixel phones are, you're right, it's the pure Android experience. There's nothing wrong with them at all. They're perfectly responsive. Comparing it to my iPhone 11, it's absolutely fine. So I love stock Android. And when you look at the other manufacturers that are out there, you look at the Huawei's, I love saying that, and you look at the Samsung in particular. I mean, they're incredibly popular, and the hardware specs that they throw in there. And now there is an argument to say, well, Android needs more hardware, more RAM or whatever, but that hardware spec that you get in these Android phones are way above anything you're going to see on the iPhone, and it's perfectly responsive. Unless you go really, really budget on an Android phone, I don't think you're really going to have any issues.
I couldn't disagree more.
Well, you're wrong.
No, I'm sorry. I just couldn't disagree more with that. I mean, you get a budget, and again, we're talking about this from our point of view, Shaun, as, in this case, TalkBack user. If you're using a cheaper Android device, you're not going to get anywhere near the quality. I remember having the Moto G5 or the Moto G6, and I remember going back to this phone thinking, and it was fairly new at the time, but it still could nowhere near keep up with the latest Samsungs. So, this is the problem. Whereas with Apple, yes, as the years go by, the hardware gets a bit slower, but I have to say, overall, the experience has always been, even on older devices from Apple, the experience with VoiceOver has been really good.
Yes, but you're going really, really budget phones for Android. Yeah, I would agree with you. But if we take the iPhone SE, that price point, exactly the same with the Android phone at that price point, responsiveness is going to be fantastic. No difference.
Let's kind of turn the tables here, and let's kind of shift our focus. We're going to take a quick break. Shaun Preece is joining us this week. He is Stephen Scott. I am Marc Aflalo. If you guys want to, let us know what you think, because I know you're opinionated out there, it's feedback@doubletap.online. On Twitter, we are @DoubleTapCanada, and use the hashtag #AskDoubleTap. When we come back, I want to dive into the software side of things. Android 11 is kind of fresh. It's the new baby to the table here. Obviously, iOS 14 is there too. But I want to talk about Android 11 because there are some features that are, again, make me envious. It is Double Tap TV. We'll be back in just a moment.
Love Double Tap TV? Listen to AMI Audio for Double Tap Canada every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for news and reviews on everything tech. This is Double Tap TV.
We are back on Double Tap TV. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll give you the email address one more time because I know this is a topic of conversation that makes people extremely vocal, especially when you pin Android up with iOS. It is feedback@doubletap.online, and on Twitter we are @DoubleTapCanada with the hashtag AskDoubleTap. Stephen, iOS 14 has been out for a couple of weeks. Android 11, though, kind of beat them to the punch only by a couple weeks. And there are some features in Android 11 that really, really make me envious. And I don't know why it's taken so long to even come to Android. And the most important feature there, I think, is conversations. This is grouping of your messaging conversations that on the Apple side of things, we have seen in phone calls. So any app that uses phone or a voice over IP, whether it be a soft phone, FaceTime, WhatsApp video or voice calling, those are all now bundled. When you look at your missed calls, you can see all of them. But this has yet to be the case on the messaging side of things. Why is this taking so long? And why are we only seeing this on Android?
Well, it's one of these things we're going to see on Android, and then in a couple of years' time, we'll see it on iOS. It will come eventually, like everything else does to iOS, but it'll just come later, and they'll do it right, Mark. But let's see, let's not, throw it out completely with Android 11, because, I haven't tried it yet. I have downloaded Android 11 to my Google Pixel 3a. I'll tell you the first thing I noticed about it was that the experience of using the phone has got better. The phone seems speedier. I don't know what they've done under the hood, but it seems to have made a real difference to the speed of my Google Pixel 3a, which in no way is an old phone.
Well, look, yeah, I know I'm here to say Android is great, but there's no denying that stock Android is actually the way to go. No matter what changes Samsung make to it, those changes do have an effect. And especially, as Stephen said, if you are using a screen reader or some form of accessibility, you've got that extra layer on top, extra system resources, so everything counts and it mounts up. So yeah, stock Android is fantastic, but I don't think that takes away from the whole Android experience anyway. For your average Joe user who's picking up a mid-range phone or even a budget phone for that matter, Android is the most popular operating system out there, the most popular type of phone out there. And there's a reason for that. It does work well.
Can I just pick up on a couple of other things? Because there's a few other things in Android 11 that I think are great. Now, one of the irritants I have with my iPhone is when you hold in the power button now, if you hold it in for too long, bear in mind I can't really see the screen, so I'm waiting for some kind of audio cue to tell me that the power off button has popped up. If that doesn't happen quickly enough, or VoiceOver doesn't respond when I'm holding in that power button, it goes straight to emergency SOS. And basically, it sounds like I've set off an alarm in my pocket, which is really loud. Once I dropped the phone because it was so loud, and then I ended up speaking to someone on emergency services who was basically spending the next 10 seconds telling me to get off the line. And that's obviously a bit of an irritant, right? But that is a very important feature, and I get that, and it's important that it's there. But what Android have done is with the power off button now on Android 11, when you hold in the power button, you get the same kind of display up on the screen. It comes up with the power off button, but you also have GPay, and you also have smart home control access. So if you've got any smart devices that you've connected up and you're using through Google Assistant, you can very quickly and easily access those controls right from that screen. So you have the power off button, you get GPay, you have to set that up obviously, and you can add your credit card or your bank card to that. And then you've got that smart home control as well. And just one other one which I want to mention, which I think is really important, is voice access. It's an accessibility feature for those with mobility impairments. And the reason I bring it up is because up until now, it's been a feature really for those who have mobility impairments who can see. Because what happens is when you use voice access, you can use Google Assistant to power your phone completely. So you could say, for example, open up the Twitter app, and then what would happen is on the screen would come up a grid. All the buttons and things you would tap with your finger get a number put next to them. So say, for example, you wanted to compose a tweet. Well, let's say the new tweet button has the number 4 beside it. You would say tap 4, and it would then proceed to do that. Now, of course, there are challenges if you're blind trying to use that, because you need to know what those numbers are, and you can't touch the screen because you have a mobility impairment as well. That's obviously a problem. Well, what they've done with this new version of voice access inside Android 11 is they've taken that away, and you can now simply use your voice to say, open Twitter and create or compose a tweet. And it will instantly do that. So you don't need to see the screen in order to completely now use your phone with your voice, which is something they did bring in through with voice control on iOS as well. But I just thought it was worth mentioning because a lot of people might not know that feature exists.
And it's great. It works well on the Android now as well. And that's another thing to be envious about is the Google Assistant. Okay, the voice recognition and processing on an Android device is, you know, you can't even compare it to something like Siri. It's so much better.
Guys, I want to shift it a little bit because, you know, when we looked at my table here and I've got these 5 devices, I want to kind of throw them all out of the way except for one. And I know you're eyeing that Fold, and I know you want to talk more about it, but we're going to save that for another episode, okay? I promise. But when you move these devices out of the way, yeah, the one left in the middle here is the Galaxy Note 5G Ultra. And after we take a quick break here on Double Tap TV, we're going to dive right into it. Stick around.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit ami.ca/doubletap. This is Double Tap TV.
We are back on Double Tap TV. Thank you guys so much for being here. Marc Aflalo, Stephen Scott, Shaun Preece joining you today talking all about Android, Envy, and iOS, and that, you know, good old argument from so many years. But I wanted to focus in, guys, on one particular device because I've been using this device as my main driver for about almost a month now. And when you look down here, that is the Galaxy Note 20. Now, I know there's kind of an argument going on as to whether the Note 20 is like the Samsung flagship. Do you think it is, or do you think that the S20 is probably their flagship? Because there's probably a big debate about that.
I think the Note would probably be seen as the flagship, wouldn't it? I mean, I often thought the Note range was more of a business device with the stylus and all that fancy stuff. Or what's it called now? The S Pen. In other words, a stylus. You can get those, by the way, for 99 cents off of Amazon if you really want one. I mean, you don't have to, you know, get that thing. But, you know, other styluses, is that word, are available. But yeah, I mean, I think the
Styli. I think the word is styli, Stephen.
Well, you're far more cultured than me because you live in Montreal and I live in, well, where I live. But here's the thing. I think that the Note is a great device. I would probably personally go for the S20. I'd say that's more consumer, but you know, they're both for sure flagship phones.
Well, listen, the Note 20 in itself is a very large device. I mean, it is, when you hold it in your hand and you compare it to an iPhone, or let's compare it to the Pixel 4a here, because I know you're going to ask me about that. It's a big device. Like it is a large device, especially when you put a case on it. The camera bump is. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see this. The camera bump is almost the size of the actual phone itself. So that's pretty big and that's pretty significant. Yeah, it's pretty significant when you have it on a table. I mean, take a listen to the clanking when you're trying to...
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it's a pretty big camera bump. There's no case on it now. The case helps stabilize that a bit, which is kind of neat. But it is a pretty big bump on there. But you get, you know, an incredible camera that goes along for the ride. Speed, even though I said the Pixel is a fast device, this is a pretty speedy device. I mean, not only on the actual interface and the menu system, which I used kind of just the stock that's on there. I've tried different launchers as well, and I found it to be quite fun. But I mean, it's a really nice device because you've got that edge-to-edge display, and when you look at it, all you see is screen across the board. And when you pop out that S Pen from the bottom, you are immediately able to, you know, write or take notes on the screen itself. When I hold it here, you can see the top view. You can start writing on the screen. You can create a note. You can use it for presentation purposes. The lag is almost non-existent when you're actually drawing and writing on the screen, which is kind of interesting. They've really integrated it quite well into the operating system itself. So, you know, it's small in the hand, but as you said, you can pick one of these up if you want a stylus for your phone of any point. You know, you can just... One of the cool things is when the screen is locked, you know, and you just pop the stylus out, you can start writing on the actual lock screen and start taking notes, which is really, really cool. And that's why we, you know, when they say this is oriented towards a business user, it definitely is because of that tight integration. And one of the things that I really noticed about the Note 20 is the integration with Microsoft, and you can tell there's something going on between these two companies, is quite seamless.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah,
you've got
it's quite
you've got all the
seamless.
apps on there now, yeah?
They've got absolutely everything preloaded. You've got the entire Office suite, but the integration across the board with the Android operating system is quite prevalent. And especially when you use that S Pen, you're able to now use this in apps like Word and apps like Office and apps like even Outlook. You're able to make annotations on your devices like you can on iOS, but even quicker and even more tightly integrated across the board. Hardware-wise, I mean, this is as premium as a device is going to get. You've got the beautiful new metal color here, which I call it Mystic Gold. This piece of hardware stands out, and I honestly do believe, guys, that Samsung saves the best screens for themselves. Even though other companies do buy from them, the screen on this device, just when you're turning it on and it says Samsung Galaxy Note 5G Ultra, is absolutely gorgeous.
I was going to ask you about that because the screen on the Samsung phones, I've got the S10 Plus here, so I'm a bit behind. But the screen on that phone is gorgeous. I mean, I can just about see it. I just see lovely colors and lovely, I don't know what the colors are, but I see lovely colors. And it's all very nice and lovely. But I'm wondering, how does it compare, do you think, to, say, the 11 Pro, the iPhone 11 Pro that I've got at the moment? Do you think they compete? Oh,
I think the Samsung screen blows it away. I think there's two factors that contribute to that. Number one is the lack of bezel on the sides makes you feel like you're immersed into the experience. You really don't feel like you're looking at a phone. So you've got more screen real estate from edge to edge, which is really, really cool. But the brightness and the dark blacks look like you're looking into nothing. And it's something that it's hard to explain unless you actually get your hands on it. It really does seem like there's a quality that Samsung just really does not give to anybody else. On that 11 Pro, the odds are you're looking at a Samsung display, but you're not getting something. There's a secret sauce there.
Yeah, I've heard other people say that about the Samsung screens. There's something there. That secret sauce is definitely something there. But I'm interested, Mark, in you've tried the S20 and the Note there you said is your daily driver. So what is it over the S20 that makes you pick the Note? Is it just the screen size? Is it just the pen? What is it?
I think it's the screen size. I don't think it's the pen. The pen is a cool gimmick. It's fun to have and it's definitely handy. Where I think that this day and age we're kind of all letting go of writing like we used to. But the ability to annotate things, to open a document and sign it is really neat. But it's definitely the screen size. And it's like when I remember when I got my hands on the first iPhone 11 Pro Max, and I'm like, oh, this is too big for me. I want the smaller one. Then eventually you get used to it and you're like, you're never going to turn back. And this is one of those situations where, if it wasn't for my whole family's integration into iOS and the investment that I've put in my smart home and everything else that goes along for it, I would definitely not hesitate to switch to this device. But yeah, it's the screen, Shaun.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
Guys, thank you for being here. I mean, this debate, I think, is one of those things that we're going to be talking about, I don't know, every single year around this time of the year when you see new devices and someone keeps kind of upping the game. Thank you guys for being here. On behalf of Shaun Preece and Stephen Scott, I am Marc Aflalo. Send us an email. It's feedback@doubletap.online. Find us on Twitter. It is @DoubleTapCanada with the hashtag AskDoubleTap. We will catch you again on our next edition of Double Tap TV.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit ami.ca/doubletap. Hosted by Marc Aflalo and Stephen Scott. Editing Will Attar. Production assistants Wendy Kaufman. Content review Zachary Aflalo. Voiceover Anna Vicino. Integrated Described Video Specialist Ron Rickford. Coordinating Producer Jennifer Johnson. Director Production Kara Nye. Director Programming Brian Perdue. VP Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2020 Accessible Media Inc.